So a lot of people ask me all the time, Daniel, what do you do to save for retirement? Well, in this video, I'm going to break down my retirement saving strategy piece by piece. I want to welcome you to the video, and I want to just be transparent and honest right off the bat. I want to let you know I am in my 30s. Again, I'm not encouraging anybody to do what I'm doing. I just want to share with you what I'm doing so people know how I'm being transparent and how I'm offering the same things to my clients that I'm personally doing, but in different ranges, right? If I have a client in their 60s, they're in a different risk capacity, a different time horizon. They're not the same as a saver in their 30s. I'm in a different place. I can take more risk. I have more time. Somebody who's in their 60s is going to be looking at a much more conservative approach. So I don't want you to think that I ever take my personal scenario where I'm at and impose that on somebody who's in a different scenario. I always separate it. I have nothing to do with how I strategize for a 50-year-old, 60-year-old, 70-year-old, 80-year-old, 90-year-old. It's custom to where they're at, their needs, their priorities, their goals, and what they need to have happen for their time horizon and risk capacity. But for me personally, if you want to know what I'm doing, it's really, really simple. My wife and I try our best to save 40% of our income. Now, the reason we save 40% instead of the traditional 10 is because in our 20s, we had a lot of fun. We made every single mistake you could possibly make for retirement savers in their 20s. Now, I made great money in my 20s. I've always been very blessed. I've done very well, and I've been a high earner for a long time. But in my 20s, you wouldn't know it because even as a high earner, I would go through seasons where I'd be living paycheck to paycheck because we traveled everywhere. We ate out everywhere. We never missed an experience. We sat front row at every concert. We went to concerts and shows and plays and dinner in New York and trips to Maui and Alaskan cruises. You name it, we were doing it. And it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun before we had kids. And even during the birth of my first daughter, we had a lot of fun. So now, being somebody who's in their 30s, knowing the value of the time value of money and how much more savings I'd have for my own retirement had I started being more disciplined in my early 20s, thought, you know what, I need to catch up a little bit. And we've gotten very disciplined. And now we save about 40% of our income. Now, when you save 40% of your income as opposed to the original 10, you're going to be saving money for retirement 4 times as fast, obviously. But you're also going to be able to really get ahead. I mean, when you're saving 40% of your income, you're really able to make a dent in your retirement savings contributions every single year. And that's really important to me because I want to make sure that we're going to have a good security fund, a good abundance fund, right? 12 months of expenses in the bank. That's crucial. When I didn't have that in my 20s, I would have stress in my life. When I had that now, since I've been in my 30s, there's no stress. I never have to worry because I always have 12 months of expenses in the bank. If I get sick or I get an injury or something happens, I have time. There's no real rush or need to create a lot of income or be working. I can take time off and I can feel abundant in my purchases. It also allows me to spend more confidently knowing that I have that 12 months of expenses in the bank. When you're saving 40% of your income on top of that, now you're able to really, really get ahead for retirement, and I feel like we'll be able to get ahead much faster than somebody who's saving the traditional 10 or 15% of your income. Now, there's strategies that I employ to be able to save as much as I do, and we can go over those in another video, but the basics are we save 40% of our income. That also helps us from not having to create a budget. I found that when we were first trying to get a handle on our finances and really say, okay, I kind of got sick to my stomach. I looked at what I made in my 20s and I thought, how is it possible that we don't even have a fraction of what we should have saved for emergencies, for retirement? This is ridiculous, right? I need to really be a better steward of my own money so I can be a better representative to my clients. And so we decided to get serious about it. When we first started budgeting, we were doing all the tricks. I mean, keeping ledgers, having multiple meetings per week. We were logging all our expenses. It was a nightmare. I mean, it just sucked the fun out of life. It made a bunch of unnecessary communication. It made my wife and I on top of each other in ways we didn't really want to be policing each other. Like, oh, you spent this. Well, we talked about this. And it just really took the fun out of everything. And it just wasn't a way we wanted to communicate in our marriage and in our life. So Jen and I decided, hey, let's just save 40% and then spend the rest. And that's our simple budgeting. And it works phenomenally well. And it takes all the headache and time. I figured I could just go work more instead of sitting around trying to keep journals on how I spent $7 when I decided to go out and get coffee and a muffin or something. I just decided, hey, let's just save 40%. That's going to be a great goal. So the first thing we do is that. Now, that 40% gets broken down a couple different ways. Part of that goes into savings, but I put about 5% of my income out of that 40 into life insurance. So I'm putting about 5% into whole life policies. I have my IULs. I've paid those up. Now I just have whole life and I'm funding those for the future. I have death benefits that are building inside of those policies. I have the cash values that are accumulating inside those policies. I can use those cash values for opportunities, which are great. And so I'm putting about 5% of my income into whole life insurance. I put about 15% of my income directly into stocks. Now I do buy the S&P 500 index. That's one position I own. I also own a handful of companies that I'm always going to want to own. You know, the Apples, the Amazons, the Facebooks, Tesla, you know, companies that I'm going to want to own forever. I put about 15% into individual stocks. Now, I also hire a professional management firm in Scottsdale called Alpha Rising, and they help me to manage a portion of those stocks, and they select a more broader diversification of companies. You know, they have a core portfolio, and then I have some specialty portfolios that they also have designed and put together for me that are more aggressive. And so they're going to be managing a broad array of different companies and funds and bonds and things that are going to be able to give me some diversification in my investment portfolio. So I pick some individual stocks on my own. I also dabble a little bit in options. I sell call options every single month. Selling call options for me has been a great way to generate income that I can in turn invest back in and buy more stocks or sell more calls. And so that's a great thing that I love to do every month. It's something that keeps me busy and keeps me sharp. Alpha Rising taught me a phenomenal strategy for trading options that works every single month. It's very consistent. I make about 1% a month trading call options on those individual stocks. So I do that a little additional step. Now, the other 20%, I put about 10% of that directly into my savings every single month. So it just goes into a savings account, nothing special. I don't go out and try to shop the highest yield savings online or anything. Just put it in the savings. I don't even think about it. My bank gives me a good enough savings rate. It's FDIC. I don't need to go out and try to find the highest online savings to optimize. Again, I'm all about time efficiency. I'd rather just be working more than trying to, you know, strategize on every little tiny detail. I found that when you do that, it can get kind of tedious, and then you feel like you're not really making a lot of progress. I'd rather just go make more money. So that's always been my theory. But again, people may argue with that and say, well, that's stupid. Just take 20 minutes and go find the highest online savings. I don't know if I can trust online savings. I like the big four banks, and I keep my savings there. With the other 10%, I am putting a pretty good portion into cryptocurrency. Now, a lot of people think, oh, Daniel, you're crazy. Like when I tell my clients I buy crypto, they're like, what are you, nuts? That's just ridiculous. It's all fake. You're gonna lose your money. I've made a lot of money with trading crypto. And I at this point, after 3 years of seriously trading it, it's actually become a decent little part of my income every year. So I do put about 10% of my income into cryptocurrency. I just dollar cost average in, just like I do with the stocks. I buy, you know, the big coins right now while things are down. And then as things start to pump and moon, as you would say in the crypto community, I will move into the smaller coins, the mid-sized coins, the micro caps. As Bitcoin starts to rise again, you know, once it starts looking like it's getting all-time highs, I will be cycling downward into the mid caps and then the micro caps. But right now I'm just buying the big stuff, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Avalanche, you know, some bigger coins that I like to own, and I'm going to continue to own for a long period of time. That's the breakdown of my 40% that I save. A lot of people say, well, Daniel, you know, you do a lot with annuities. Why aren't you purchasing annuities? Well, because annuities are really the vehicle you roll funds into as you get closer into retirement and you have a more conservative risk capacity. Right now I'm still in the growth and building phase. So I'm accumulating assets. I'm trying to build the portfolio, but then when I do get closer to my 60s, I will be rolling funds into annuities. My wife has a very long life expectancy. Every woman in her family's lived to be into their mid-90s or even hundreds. No male in my family's lived past 80. So I will definitely be purchasing a lot of lifetime income for my wife so that she can have that peace of mind and know that the income's going to come. My daughters will say, oh, Dad was smart one day. He took care of Mom and he put a lot of money into lifetime income so that she's protected. So I will be rolling funds into. In fact, I'm actually getting ready to look at purchasing my first annuity. There's some incredible innovations in the annuity space, and there's some annuities right now that you can purchase at any age. They will be able to build a benefit base based off the indexing potential, and they have some really cool features like no rider fees, and sometimes they'll even bonus your indexing, give you double, triple index credit on whatever you earn, and that will continue to grow for as long as I live. So I ran a scenario on my wife, and if I put just $50,000 into an annuity in her name today, the income on that when she turns 65 for the rest of her life for 30 years is mind-blowing. Like that $50,000 will produce over $1 million of income out of the annuity one day if I start it now. So I'm actually getting ready to look at purchasing my very first annuity, which I'm excited about. And I think that it's going to create just a really cool pension. If I can buy one of those every couple years, then the income will just be ridiculous for retirement. So it really kind of gives you some cushions. That way I can be even more aggressive in the stocks and the options and the crypto because I have that security that I'm building in. You know, I work for a company, a family business doesn't have a pension. And so this is a great way for me to kind of create my own pension-like income for Jennifer and I to be able to live in our retirement comfortably. So that's the breakdown of my portfolio. That's everything I own. If you want to learn more about any of these things, please feel free to reach out to me. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to produce relevant content that people really enjoy, and I can be authentic and transparent in what I'm doing. If you did enjoy the video, please take a minute and like it. It really helps me out a lot to know if I'm on the right track with the video or if I'm way off base. If you want to talk about anything I discussed in the video, please leave comments down below. As always, thanks so much for watching. I'm Daniel Rondberg. I'll see you in the next one.